Thanksgiving's off. That was the whole message my mom sent me, just a short text, no one's coming. Later that evening, I got a notification. Someone had accidentally tagged me in a family photo. The shot showed a long dinner table, a golden roast turkey front and center, champagne glasses raised, and a banner stretched above it that read, "Just family." I stared at that photo more than once. The next morning, my brother shot me a message. "You still covering the family trip?" No hello. No lead-in. Just that. I typed back, "Of course." Then I stopped everything. I froze the payments, the flight reservations, and locked up all their access points. At exactly 8 a.m., there was a knock at the door. My parents stood on the porch. "Let us in," they said. I cracked the door open slowly, gave a little smile, and repeated her words right back to them. "Thanksgiving's canceled. No one's coming." That was it. No reason. No apology. Just a 3-second text that made it clear all the years of showing up and being part of things suddenly meant nothing. I sat with that message for a while, let it settle in. I kept thinking about the hotel I'd already reserved, the rental car I prepaid, and that fancy pie I picked up from that bakery they always insist on, even though it's way overpriced. Then I shrugged. Maybe they really did cancel it. But that night, another alert buzzed on my phone. I'd been tagged, probably by mistake, in a picture from my cousin's account. The caption said, "Grateful for real family." And below it, a perfect photo of a dinner set for 12. A golden turkey, bottles of champagne, plates that looked like they were made of gold. And again that same banner. "Just family." I read it again, slowly this time. My name wasn't listed anywhere in the tags. And there wasn't an empty seat that looked like it was meant for me. But I knew the place. I could tell just from the wallpaper, they were at my parents' house. They were laughing, passing food around, having a full-blown holiday celebration. And I wasn't invited. I didn't reach out. Didn't call. Didn't even send a passive-aggressive emoji. I just sat there, staring at that photo like it was a bad joke that hadn't quite landed yet. At 7:42 the next morning, my phone pinged again. Same message from my brother. "Still paying for the family trip?" No greeting. No context. No shame. Just those words. I looked at that text for a good 60 seconds. Then I typed a single word, "Naturally." After that, I got to work. Opened my laptop and started pulling the plug. I paused the flight bookings. Canceled the Airbnb. Stopped the travel insurance. Then I locked them out of the family account, the one they still don't realize I built and manage entirely on my own. Right around 8 a.m., there they were again. On my doorstep. My dad was pounding on the door like someone was dying. My mom stood just behind him, yelling my name like saying it louder might still mean something. I opened it slow. I even smiled. I didn't slam the door. I didn't yell. I didn't demand answers. I just stood there and let them speak. And what came out? Half-hearted lines dressed as explanations. "We figured it'd be less stressful without you. It was a last-minute thing. You always make things weird." They tossed excuses like handfuls of confetti, hoping something might land right. My mom chalked it up to a misunderstanding. My dad rolled his eyes and said I was being dramatic again. My brother? He stood back with his arms crossed, keeping quiet like always. He never speaks up, he doesn't have to. He lets everyone else do the hurting, then steps in to enjoy whatever's left. But what they didn't get, what none of them seemed to realize, was that this wasn't some isolated event. It was just the first time I really saw it. That family photo? That wasn't an accident. It was one square in a whole patchwork quilt that had been smothering me for years. And once I saw it clearly, the rest started flooding back. Like the birthday they forgot until I had to remind them. The same year my brother drove off in a brand new car. Or the time I paid off their back taxes and my mom bragged to her bridge club, "He's finally doing something useful." The anniversary party I footed the entire bill for, only to hear my aunt joke, "Don't let the help sit up front." The wedding I was never invited to be part of, just asked to fund. The house I co-signed. The software I wrote for their business. The streaming services. The college tuition they promised was temporary, just until they get on their feet. They never looked at me and saw a person. They saw an asset. A tool. A walking transaction. Not a son. Not a brother. Just a service provider with a pulse. And every time I gave, they grabbed for more. Every time I stayed quiet, they filled the silence with jokes about how sensitive I was, how I should be grateful they even let me sit at the table. I remembered my mom once telling me, "We can always count on you." Back then, I thought it meant she trusted me. Now I know it meant something else entirely. They assumed I'd never say no. Because I never had. Not when they excluded me. Not when they laughed at me. Not when they traded me out for cheaper, easier versions of family. But that banner, just family, that was the final jab. It wasn't hidden or vague. It was direct. Plain as day. They drew a line. And this time, I actually saw it. And believed it. So I didn't put on a show. I didn't deliver some teary speech. I just sat there, watching the whole pattern play out in my head like an old film reel. Scene by scene. And every moment shared the same message. We don't see you. We only see what you can give. So I made a decision. Not out of spite. Not out of anger. But because I finally understood the difference between being helpful and being used. And that morning, sitting on my couch as the sun started to rise and their messages kept buzzing in like static, I smiled. Not because everything was fine, but because for once, I wasn't scrambling to make it okay. I sat at my desk, screen lit up, coffee long gone cold. My heartbeat was calm, focused. Then I opened the spreadsheet I'd been staring at for days. A full list of recurring charges they never talked about. Access points they took for granted. Benefits they assumed belonged to them. Domain names. Streaming accounts. Cloud storage. Rental memberships in their names. Insurance policies. All of it tied to my name. My logins. My passwords. And I started the process of taking it all back. Everything had two-factor authentication. All under my credentials. But to them, it all just felt normal. Like it was a set of tools stored in a garage they never even bothered to look inside. I opened up the first item, the shared credit card they'd been using for everything, vacations, grocery hauls, even the holiday gifts they gave my daughter. They never asked. They just used it. Click 1. Autopay paused. A prompt popped up. I hit confirm. Done. Next, I logged into the airline rewards account. I removed their authorized traveler access. No more backpacks shipped on points. No more surprise upgrades or family fare discounts. No more loopholes. Then came the hotel rewards program. I suspended all the sub-profiles set up under my mom's name. I'd earned those points for her over the years. But now, every single one of those accounts showed the same thing. Inactive due to policy violation. Unauthorized usage. That's what they called it. Fourth stop, streaming services. Apple TV, Netflix, Spotify. I didn't delete their profiles. I just made them vanish. Quietly turned them off. Inactive. Invisible. Ghost access, basically. Fifth, I killed the email forwarding I'd set up from my domain to theirs. No more auto-confirmations or lost password resets conveniently dropping into their inboxes. Sixth, parental controls on the shared family account. I set a brand new password. I didn't nuke the account. I just erased their presence from it. If they wanted access again, they'd have to come ask me. It wasn't loud. It wasn't angry. It was methodical. Surgical. I picked up the phone. "Good morning," I said. "This is John Reynolds, the account holder. I'd like to remove all authorized users immediately." "Which cards, sir?" "All of them. Anything ending in 2345, 6789, or 1123. They confirmed. 3 minutes flat. No apology. No hesitation. Call ended. If anyone tried to use the card, the system would say, "Access revoked by the cardholder." I repeated this process again. And again. By midday, my spreadsheet lit up like a stoplight. Red lines everywhere. Cancelled, locked, revoked. Access codes, disabled. VPN privileges, gone. That little "help me" button I'd left running 24/7 in the background, turned off. I removed them from the car insurance. Left the policy itself intact, but their names? Wiped clean. No co-owner rights. No secondary lien holders. If they ever tried to file a claim, they'd hit a wall, and if they called me, I'd hit decline. I stopped footing the bill for their tax service too. They run their own business. They can hire their own help. I spoke with the accountant. I'm stepping back from financial support. Bill the final fees to them. The response? Dead silence. By 3 p.m., I sent them each a single PDF file. One page. Direct. Here are your recurring charges, now frozen. Shared accounts, access removed. If you need anything reinstated, feel free to submit a request. I'll review it. No drama. No lecture. Just screenshots. Facts. Hard lines drawn. I didn't answer their texts. No apologies. No explanations. Just that one message sent. Then I turned to securing my space. Went through the locks. Checked my home server. Looked at every credit card charge with the label family, holiday, gift, subscription. I flagged each one, red, orange, yellow. The petty ones? Deleted. The $19.99 watch parties. The $7.50 audiobook top-ups. The $5 cereal boxes. But the big ones, those stayed. 5-figure payments I'd made for their software tools, tuition help, and debt relief? I didn't erase them. I moved them. Reassigned the funds. Opened a brand new savings account. For my son. Transferred every penny. Labeled each transaction in full detail. Business software, their LLC, Q4 2024. Tuition, University of State, Spring 2025. Medical, Mom Smith, June 2025. I even renamed the accounts so there'd be no confusion, no plausible deniability. They'd see it. Clear as day. This wasn't revenge. It was a reset. I called the bank and told them to lock down my accounts. Nobody could add users without me signing off in person. Security freeze. New alerts. Full encryption. My money belonged to me again. Then I reached out to the DNS registrar. Cut off call forwarding. Disabled email reroutes. Revoked domain delegation privileges. No more, your domain is still hosted on their server. I even removed them as emergency contacts from my health insurance. I'd like my wife listed first, I told the agent. Update permissions. By 6 p.m., everything was silent. Notifications off. Activity logs complete. Every door locked. Every key reclaimed. I leaned back in my chair. Took a deep breath. The house felt emptier somehow. But lighter too. Because every one of those actions had been calm. Quiet. Not a single fight. No shouting matches. Each step was deliberate. Thought through. Backed by documentation. No confusion down the line. No, we didn't know. Every asset had either been returned to me or redirected to something that mattered. I wasn't trying to humiliate them. I just wanted to feel free. And I was. That evening, the sky was quiet. No sirens. No shouting at my door. Just the gentle sound of my laptop powering down and the walls of the house settling into peace. Maybe they were panicking somewhere else. Maybe their desperation was echoing off their own ceilings. At 9:17, my phone vibrated. One message. From my mom. Why? We thought you'd understand. I didn't write back. Because understanding wasn't the point anymore. I didn't expect total silence. I figured there'd be yelling, banging on the door, maybe even crying. But it wasn't that. It was something stranger. Right before midnight, a new message popped up. My brother this time, a flood of texts. You can't do this. We're going to the bank. Mom's having a panic attack. Stop ignoring us. Then the emails started rolling in. From my dad. Forwarded to every sibling. Every aunt. Every cousin. John's overreacting. He's always been like this. One message read. Maybe your head's in the wrong place, son. Came another, this time from my own dad, calling me out in front of everyone. By then, I stopped paying attention to who was writing. Around 2 a.m., the calls started. Not from my parents, but from my aunt, my cousin, even my girlfriend's mom. Short, panic messages. He's spiraling into something dark. Did you see what he did? He's unstable. I let the voicemails pile up, ignored them. By morning, their version of events was already painting me as the bad guy. There's no right here, just a familiar pattern playing on repeat. One email thread after another, from relatives who'd all enjoyed my generosity for years, but now that I wasn't useful, they'd vanished. He's emotionally volatile. He's punishing us for no reason. Can we get a family mediator? Funny, no one ever suggested a mediator during the 8 years of silence before this. But now, I shrugged and thought, sure, bring on the mediator. They didn't expect me to stay calm. That afternoon, my brother showed up without warning. He stood by the front gate calling out, "This is childish. Come outside. Let's talk." I watched him through the window. He looked smaller than usual. The masks they wore were slipping. I opened the door. He stormed inside, but he didn't yell. He started quiet, measured. "Mom's on edge. Dad and the others are confused." He paused, took a deep breath. "I'm begging you. Just tell us what happened." He sounded desperate. But this time I was ready. For the first time I stood my ground. I didn't shout. I didn't break down. But every word I spoke hit hard. "You forgot I existed until I paid." I slowly disappeared behind the numbers, replaced by transactions. I stopped. He opened his mouth to interrupt. His defenses were foggy, weak. I raised my hand. "Let me finish." I pulled out the printed PDF, laid it on the table, receipts, call logs, screenshots, everything. "Here are the facts. Each number, every invoice. Look at it." He leaned forward. So, silent. I watched his guard fall piece by piece. He swallowed hard. "We didn't know," he whispered. "I feel anger now. At us. At me." I nodded. "Then it's working." I paused. "You always tell me to think. To be reasonable." So I was. I didn't lash out. I reclaimed what's mine. I didn't escalate. I drew a line. "If you want to cross back over, you know where to find me." He turned and left. Then the backlash hit. A group message exploded. "We will gather evidence. We'll get a lawyer. We'll petition the court." My name was dragged through threats, gossip, and rumor. But I stayed still. Open my PDF again. Reread every word. My numbers. I let them rage while I kept my calm. Texts trickled in from my mom. "I'm sorry. I didn't know." From my dad, "This is truly painful." From my adult niece, "I love you, Uncle." I didn't reply, not yet. I wasn't there to comfort them. I needed to be seen. The shockwave rolled on. That night, my lawyer called. "They're threatening legal action," he said. "Financial harm, emotional damages, breach of trust." I didn't flinch. "Good," I said. "I have every document, every revoked payment, every notification." He paused. "It's airtight." I smiled. Now they were in full hysteria mode. I became either a villain or a hero, depending on who you asked. Families split. Alliances tested. Their last move, a public post in the family group chat. A childhood photo of me popped up, captioned, "Remember this happy boy? We need him back." Comments flooded in. "This is the sweetest John we know. Please reconcile. We need Thanksgiving." I closed the app. That night, around 10 p.m., I lit a candle. Sat alone with my thoughts. I saw the pattern break. Heard the quiet relief of boundaries being respected. Felt my pulse steady, stronger, calmer. I didn't hate them. I turned my focus inward. I didn't want revenge. I wanted clarity. By the time I went to bed, they hadn't broken. They were rebuilding their own stories. We didn't know we were taking. He's misinterpreting everything. But that didn't matter anymore. Because I wasn't waiting for their approval. They had their mediator, their courts, their gossip chains, their charity drives. I had my peace. While they screamed hysterically on their side, I quietly documented mine and stopped protecting theirs. For the first time in a long time, I slept without carrying anyone's silence. This was the moment the truth couldn't be denied, not just by me, but by everyone else. No rage. No revenge. Just clear, hard evidence that shattered their story and reset everything. I scheduled the post for exactly 9 a.m. A neutral, unbranded webpage. No accusatory tone. No emotional pleas. Just a timeline of facts. Yearly payments. Screenshots of their requests. Pay the tax bill. Cover my tuition. Book the hotel. The Thanksgiving banner photo, untouched. Snippets from their group chat after I cut off access. We don't understand. We need him back. I called it simply, Family Ledger. At 9 sharp, I hit publish. Within minutes, views poured in. Notifications. My site held up against the surge. This was my cannon shot. The threads exploded again. Some said, this is shameful. Others argued, he's right to share this. A few posted screenshots of the banner, the spreadsheet, even messages from my college friends saying, wow, didn't know this. But there was no turning back. That afternoon, a local family therapist, the one they'd suggested as a mediator, reached out. I've seen your post. It's devastating. Not because they were wrong, but because the pattern was impossible to ignore. The therapist asked if we could all meet. I agreed, but only if it was on my terms. The place? Her office. Paper-free zone. The agenda? Listening only. No proving, no arguing. The evidence? Already out there, published. They showed up later that week. My parents, my brother, the therapist. No more than 5 chairs arranged in a circle. She opened the meeting. I've read your public ledger. It's detailed, thorough. No interruptions. She turned toward them. John has put numbers to experience. You can't argue with arithmetic. They glanced at each other. I saw a flicker of hope. Mom's voice cracked. I didn't realize how much I'd asked of him. Dad closed his eyes. My brother looked away. I stayed quiet. My boundary was my presence. The therapist asked, what do you want now, John? I answered clearly. Recognition. Not money. Not apologies. Just acknowledgement. Space, not to be a provider, but to be their son, their brother. A reset, where the next request isn't assumed, but asked for. My tone was calm. Precise. No drama. She turned back to them. Can you listen to him? Silence. Mom wiped a tear. Dad nodded slowly. My brother exhaled. We messed up. It wasn't sudden. It was a shift. They asked questions. How did this feel? What parts of us were invisible? Will you ever forgive us? I answered each honestly. It felt like I was trailing behind, not walking beside. You saw a wallet, not a person. Yes, but trust can be rebuilt. They didn't collapse. They didn't lash out. They simply started to hear. The next day, dinner. My parents sat at the table. Just turkey. No banner. No account suspensions. But my seat was there. The banner replaced by simple words. Welcome home, son. Was it magic? Did it fix everything? But it did something more important. It proved boundaries can be bridges. The public exposure worked because it showed truth, not insults. It made space for honesty instead of conflict. It pushed them toward reflection, not defense. It invited reconciliation without begging for permission. A week later, at Thanksgiving, I sat at the table. No automatic payments. No silent account freezes. Just choice. They passed plates, not demands. My brother thanked me. My parents hugged me, not saying, thank you, but I saw it on their faces. That's how balance shifts. Not through yelling. Not with drama. With clarity. Documentation. Published truth. I didn't break them. They faced what they'd been avoiding too long. And I walked in, not to fix the past, but to build a space where I was truly seen. This was the quiet but seismic moment when everything changed, even if nothing seemed to. No drama. Just finality. The hero affirmed himself. A month later, at exactly 7:03 p.m., I got a text. Can we talk? Simple words. No subject line. No banner. No pressure. I saw the number. It was my mom's. I looked at the fireplace, still warm from the last time we shared that space. I felt my pulse steady, not anxious. I typed back, Sure. When and where? An hour later, she showed up at my porch. Alone. No entourage. No brother. No tears. Just her, fragile but certain. I opened the door. She hesitated. I stepped aside and offered the stoop. The sky was darkening. Cicadas hummed softly. A quiet night. She sat. We didn't speak. After a long silence, she finally whispered, "This isn't what I wanted." I nodded. "I know." She bit her lip, looked down at her hands. "I missed you. I feel lost." "Then sit," I said gently. "Or go. I'm here." Tears came, not because she was sorry, but because she understood she had to earn her place again. No shortcuts. She reached out, unclenched the barrier between us. We stayed silent for a moment. Then she spoke, "I understand. You're still standing." That moment wasn't victory. It was recognition. I stayed steady. No rushing. No hugs. No, "I forgive you." Just presence. Just boundary. She stood. "I'll see you tomorrow?" she asked. I paused. "I'll let you know." That was it. She nodded and walked away. Weeks passed. Occasional texts. Brief hellos. No banners. No auto payments. No assumed seats. Until one evening she called. "Family dinner." It was just us. I thought. I replied, "I'll be there." Walking into that room felt nothing like before. No heat. No storm. Just measured peace. We sat. I opened my plate. They passed dishes. They didn't say, "Thank you." They said something better. "You're here." Because boundaries don't close doors, they reopen them with respect. In that final pause, I didn't say yes to them. I said yes to myself. My worth. My limits. My space. They didn't get their old me back. They got someone new. Stronger. Clearer. Someone who no longer carried their invisibility. They got a son. Not a provider. A human. Not a wallet. A brother. Not a fixer. I looked at their faces. Present. I thought, this isn't about rescue. It's about return. And by choosing to show up, on my terms, I reclaimed not just my seat but my identity. Because sometimes the loudest power comes from the quietest "no," followed by the freedom to say yes again.